I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first we're going to start with the public hearing. Let me just preface by saying that this is the public hearing for the our new comprehensive master plan. It does not include the zoning amendments. Those are going to be scheduled. We'll set a public hearing for that sometime in September, and it'll probably be in October timeframe. So again, for tonight, the public hearing is on the new comprehensive master plan. So a motion to open up the public hearing.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Anybody here would like to speak? No? About on Zoom. Oh, actually,
So I'll just ask one question.
yeah, you have to come up to the, and this is related to the comprehensive plan.
So I haven't seen the comprehensive plan.
You said to give your name and.
First name is Chris, last name is Zoller, Zoller, 45 Ridgeland Road.
Not the address, just the comment.
Okay, well, I don't mind. So in the, obviously master plan encompasses a lot, but my question is there aspects of the plan that has a point in dealing with, obviously seniors is my point of view right here today. Is there a section dedicated for seniors as far as what's to be done in the master plan? And questions would be, is there a facility in the future that they're looking to either get versus meeting at the fire department? You guys know the entire deal, but my side is that part of a plan going forward? Money, obviously with the master plan, there's money allocations and, what is the big picture and stuff, that's all.
Right. Okay. So typically, just so you know, we don't respond to
Gotcha.
comments, but during the discussion, we can then say something about that.
So,
Yeah.
and so my last aspect would just be, and I'm sure you're aware of the statistics, but in the town of Lewisboro, as if you Google the numbers, so we have a population of roughly 14,000 and change. And, but if you look at the seniors amount, over the age of 65, they're roughly 7.1% of the population. So they don't have a big voting group as the thing goes, as the other adults go in things. But, obviously, whether it be a lifelong residence or just a short-term resident stuff, there's, I think just as we put emphasis to the children in our schools, there should be also an emphasis put on the seniors because they don't really have the voice to go forward and be heard as much as they like to be. And they kind of just take things as it is. That's all.
Okay.
And we deal
Thank you,
with
Chris.
some of that on our agenda.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else here? How about on Zoom?
Yes. Dean Travellino, I'll ask you to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Caught me off guard. You asked me first. I read the comments from the county to the master plan. I noticed something interesting in there, which was something about in new subdivisions or new developments, adding storage areas for e-bikes, sort of a recognition of the danger of lithium battery fires that we hear so much about. And I guess that's something you have to consider when looking at your zoning changes. But also I wanted to make the board aware, there was an article last week in the Halston media that the town of Somers has declared themselves lead agency and considering a petition to look at zoning changes to try to toughen their zoning laws to keep battery farms out, which we all know the risks of battery fires, the risks of cleaning up after, say, one of these operators is bankrupt. So there's some real risks, and already some boards in Westchester are being proactive. It's also important because I understand there's a bill pending in Albany that will try to put a fast track for these battery farms into local communities. Just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Barbara Mangione, I'm asking you to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I just want to actually agree with Dean. And as you all know there, I spoke at the last meeting about these moratoriums, requesting that the board put this on their agenda in the near future. That was a couple of weeks ago. I believe there's several other towns that have now also instituted moratorium since I last spoke. And I know I spoke to a couple of board members via email who both said that hopefully something will be written into not necessarily the master plan, but perhaps the building code about these battery farms in our area in the future and how the town is or isn't going to deal with them and what kind of procedures they're going to put in place. But again, I know this is simply about the master plan, but there should be some thought as to putting this not only into our town code, but into the plan. And in the future, putting this on the agenda again to put a moratorium on right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Barbara. And that's it.
That's it. Okay. So what I'd like to do is, does anyone have anything else to say, or Valerie's here as well, Valerie Manestra from NPV.
Just a couple of things. On the lithium battery issue, just, you know, I hear the word moratorium coming up in last meeting as well as this meeting. Harrison, the town of Harrison is also looking into a moratorium because they had adopted their code, you know, to help with, I think the code was changed to adapt for solar farms and battery storage. And once the first applications came in to put those things in, obviously the residents surrounding the particular areas that were being considered for such projects spoke up and requested a moratorium. So it's just want everybody to know that it's not a possibility. I totally get it. Just understand that there is a process, and the process requires it to be, the whole process is treated like a local law, which means it needs to be drafted, it needs to be noticed, there needs to be a public hearing. Am I right?
100%.
Yeah, so it's not something that we can just raise our hands and vote on. It's a whole process. So the community should be well aware because it requires so much time, well ahead of time, in order to voice their opinions on anything having to do with that. The second thing, as far as the seniors go, I just was going to ask if it's all right if we might have Val address that, because I know that it came up several times in the course of all of our meetings, just to give a condensed version of how seniors were addressed in the master plan.
Sure.
I just have a footnote to close off that thing, that we have no applications that are out there referable
No.
anything like that.
No,
Okay.
and I consulted with Greg on this, and Valerie and I spoke as well. So I think what I'd like to do is in the September meeting, we'll put the language together for a moratorium.
Well, no,
Or however you're going to legislate with
Yeah.
respect to
It's not-
those facilities, size, capacity and whatnot within your code.
it's not,
And
it's not a moratorium because we don't have an application. That's just a
Right.
clarifying.
Moratorium by
Yeah.
its definition is going to be temporary. One
Yeah,
way or another,
like a
you're
6-month
going to
moratorium, so
legislate.
that when we come up with the right law, for example, one of my questions was a battery energy storage system being a public utility. Right, because I think that's where, if you take it out of that definition, then you're safe for the most part.
Public utilities get preference when it comes to applications, so.
Right,
But you're going to legislate one way or the other. The thought is you have a month or two, whatever you're contemplating going forward. You should have maybe enough time to work that into the code itself. And not have to worry about a temporary moratorium, but
Right.
if you're not finalized on it, then maybe that's what you'll do and then
right.
revisit it, later in the year or in 2025.
There's no urgency now because there's no pending applications.
None that I'm aware of
No.
at planning, so.
Right, and I think, again, as part of the draft zoning, not associated with this comp plan discussion tonight, there is a battery energy storage local law for the board's consideration, and we can take a look at it again under, during the next couple of months as well, to make sure that it really does fit the needs for Lewisboro.
Can you just summarize, like, just a brief overview as to what that is?
Yeah, so I mean, the way right now, it's generally drafted, it really does add some additional, if battery energy storage systems were to be put into the town of Lewisboro, it would require specifically emergency maintenance plans, operation and maintenance plans, decommissioning plans. So it requires a lot more information than a typical utilities would especially because of the situation and the nature of the battery energy storage systems. But it also, more importantly, identifies areas within the town and circumstances in which those could be located. And for the most part, if you recall, we are suggesting having a special permit process where the town board would basically have the ability to decide whether a battery energy storage system would be applicable to certain areas or not. So it's not something that would be like as of right. Especially for the larger battery energy storage systems. But we can sit down and go through it again, but that was part of the initial thought process in terms of trying to get, those legislated because of the fact that there was nothing in the town code for that.
I think it's gonna be a NYSERDA event in the fall, like September, October, where they come down and do shopping on this. And there's also batteries and there's batteries, so there's other technologies that are non-lithium that you could explore.
Right, exactly.
Flow batteries and things like that that are non-flammable.
Right. And then should I talk about the seniors? So the seniors, just so we at the very beginning, one of the things that was identified, both the town board and the comprehensive plan steering committee, was to reach out to the seniors directly. So we actually did have a stakeholder group with the seniors. And we did receive information based on their concerns and the issues. And so in the comprehensive plan, first of all, we focus on housing in general and focusing on housing for seniors and potentially a recommendation for like the senior floating overlay zone to allow for some additional senior housing within the town of Lewisboro. But then also we focused on facilities and services and encouraging the town to continue and build upon services specifically for the seniors, and then looking at other potential opportunities for seniors and like a senior center, as not necessarily identifying a particular place or location, but just that it was something that was brought up as part of the public process.
And our seniors in Lewisboro are defined as, you're very young, right? Right, over 50. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right,
Okay.
any other questions? Okay,
Thank you, Valerie.
thank you.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is just to stick with the comprehensive plan is we have it's on the agenda as new business, but it's I'd like to go ahead and look at the two resolutions we have. One is to adopt the negative oh, sorry, I've got to close the public hearing, sorry. Okay, so I'll motion to close the public hearing on the comprehensive master plan.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now I'd like to go ahead and,
We doing the other public hearing
No.
second, or?
no,
We're gonna finish the
we're gonna
master
finish the
plan
master plan.
first.
Yeah. So the first item is the negative declaration regarding the adoption of the 2024 comprehensive plan. So I'd like to motion that we go ahead and adopt the SEQA, which stands for State Environmental Quality Review. Negative declaration regarding the adoption of the 2024 comprehensive plan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Greg, just for everybody, just explain what a negative declaration under secret generally means.
Sure, it's a determination by the lead agency that the project that you're contemplating does not have a significant adverse environmental impact.
Thanks for that, Greg. Okay,
So this is a roll call, I think.
I would roll call that. I don't know if you got a second or not.
yeah, we did.
Dan second.
Dan seconded. Okay, so roll call. Rich?
Aye.
Tony, aye.
Andrea, aye.
Dan, I.
Okay, next we have resolution adopting the 2024 comprehensive plan. So I'd like to go ahead and motion to adopt the 2024 comprehensive plan. Do I have a second?
What do you guys want, liaison people?
Why don't you?
I'll second.
Discussion?
Just to clarify, like we said, so this is any zoning issues or concerns are outside the purview of this adoption.
Correct. All the zoning text amendments for which we had the work session, and also two other categories falling onto, I think, like Airbnb stuff, as well as what was the other one?
Oh, that was short-term rentals.
Short-term rentals, and then there was another one that we saved as well. septics that we haven't even addressed yet. So this vote tonight has nothing to do with those items.
With that caveat and understanding, so, I.
Roll
We had a
call.
second, yeah,
Tony, aye?
Andrea Rendo, I.
Yeah, well, shy.
Okay.
It's a
Okay, we're
milestone.
done. And I'd like to thank Valerie, Manastra from NPV, Nelson Pope Voorhees, for the excellent work. And we're not finished yet,
No, we're not
So-
finished yet,
but thank you very much, and to the steering committee as well, led by Katie McGinn. I don't know if Katie's on, if she wants to.
No, I appreciate it because I asked a lot of questions. I scrutinized a lot of changes and you know what? They got back to me right away. They answered all my questions. Things were resolved. Really appreciate it.
And thank you for asking a lot of questions.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thanks again, Valerie. You're more than welcome to stay for the entire meeting.
Can I?
Next one.
Okay. All right. Next we have the public hearing on the proposed amendments to the Town Code Chapter 203 Tree Preservation. And I'll just preface by, let's see here. There were three major parts of this that we're incorporating. One was to make the ordinance consistent with Westchester County licensing. The second was to tighten up language to prevent clear cutting. The third was correction of an error for special character. We had a fourth on additional remedy and penalty, but we excluded that from this. And then going forward, there's been other questions raised about the original ordinance that was passed in 2018. So we're gonna look through that feedback and have some other sessions, including a work group that will review and see what you know, how we can better and improve the tree ordinance. So I'd like to go ahead and open up the public hearing. Motion to open up the public hearing for the proposed amendments to Town Code Chapter 203 Tree Preservation. So discussion. All in favor? Aye. Anyone here would like to say anything about the tree ordinance? No? How about on Zoom, Janet?
Sorry about that. Dean Travellino, I'm asking you to unmute.
Can you hear me again?
Yes, we can.
Well, I think the supervisor just took the wind out of my sails. Because I just wanted to hear some confirmation that the many other issues that I have with this law will be addressed. And it sounds like we're on the path to that, so thank you.
You're welcome, Dave.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, thanks, Dean.
Anybody else?
No.
No. I know John Wolf was, I don't know if he has anything that he would like to add. Did he raise his
Did we
hands?
open the hearing?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
John Wolf, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I think, Tony made the point, we're only talking about three issues, and I think, there was some discussion about this, the one about, clear cutting on new projects, and I wanted to just address the fact that most towns that I've looked at, we've looked at, the CAC has looked at several other towns, most towns address this in a similar way. So, and correct some of the things that came up at the last meeting. This does not prevent anybody from building something on their property. You know, it just means that when you go to do something, you work it out in terms of minimizing the number of trees that have to be removed. And I think that's really the key thing, is that all we're doing is trying to prevent clear cutting on new projects. It's very similar to what goes on in the wetland law for these kind of projects. So I don't think there's anything particularly controversial here. I'm happy to address any questions from the board.
Anybody want to? Okay.
Still has all the provisions about, you know, if the tree is dead or threatening.
Yeah.
It's like-
The exemptions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're not addressing the 3 trees, that's the future use, but you know, anybody can cut something that's gonna fall on their house within 100 feet. So again, very similar to most of the towns that we've looked at. We've looked at a bunch of them. Ours is probably one of the weaker laws.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Yes. Carol Cernak, I'm asking you to unmute. Carol, did you put your hand up by mistake? If you didn't, just put it up again. Okay,
Hi,
Carol?
it's Carol Cernak.
Yes.
Sorry about that. I'm just wondering about the tree ordinance, like, if you own a lot of property on state roads, if a tree is dying on your property and is at risk of, or several trees are dying on your property and at risk of falling on a state road, how do you handle that?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Carol.
That's it.
That's it? Okay. All right, so motion to close the public hearing on the proposed amendments to Town Code Chapter 203 of the tree preservation. I have a second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Rich?
Yes, I just, I was, Carol's point, one of the exemptions is the second one, tree removal of any tree which is dead in seeds in a state of irreversible decline or decay. So that's for it's not just for the 100 feet, so that would seem to come within the purview of them.
I'm sure anyone who lives on a state road would love if the state would come and take the tree down for them. Because it's in threat of falling upon a state road, but the likelihood of that happening is not likely. And still, I know that I'm still receiving some text messages from people who had NICEAG or the company that works with NICEAG that takes down the trees on the
Nelson.
residential roads, Nelson, right? That they take them down, but then they leave very ugly stumps, you know, high, where they leave the tree parts down.
Aesthetically displeasing.
Yes, aesthetically displeasing. In many circumstances, they have come back. There's a phone number that can be, that we have that can be used to call and remind them that they need to come back. I know myself that I have a very ugly tree stump that has been there now. They asked permission to take the tree down and we agreed to have them take the tree down, but they left this ugly, ugly big tree hovering over my stone wall in the front of my house. It's still there. They never came to take the rest of it down. So that's it. That has nothing really to do with, I'm sure, Carol's inquiry, but
Okay.
my gripe.
Thank you. All right, so I'd like to go ahead and jump down to the resolution for the negative declaration. For the tree ordinance, so I'll go ahead and I'll motion that we for the seeker state environmental quality review, it's a negative declaration regarding amendments to the Town Code Chapter 203 tree preservation. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
It's like a roll call here.
Oh, yeah, it's a roll call.
Aye.
Tony, aye.
Andrea, I'm a no only for the reasons that I've stated about passing or amending the law now and then amending it again later.
Dan Welch, yes.
Okay. So next we have public comment number 1.
No, you got it.
Oh,
No, we got
Did you enact that law?
the law.
oh, the law, the actual
Public
adoption,
hearing.
sorry. Yes, jumping the gun. That's the other item in the new business. So, yeah, so now I'd like to motion that we go ahead and adopt the proposed local law for Town Code Chapter 203 tree preservation. Do I have a second?
What's a local law we identifying? So
Easy.
Is it one?
The first one.
This is the
Wow.
first one all year. Bravo.
Okay, so second. Discussion, all in favor? Aye.
No,
Oh, roll call, sorry.
Or is it?
You can all favor the vote on the law. You can do an all in favor.
Okay, all in favor.
I'm still a no. Okay, reasons I mentioned again and again.
Okay. All right, so thank you all very much. We're done with our public hearing. So next is the public comment number one. Anyone here? Like to say anything? About anything? No. How about on Zoom?
Yes. Simone O'Connor, I'm asking you to unmute.
Good evening. I'd like to speak on Roman numeral 4, communications, letter A. Who is Dottie Podolak? What is this Town of Lewisboro Community Development Advisory Group? What does a representative do for this group? Was this ever put out? Did we ever discuss this? Is this a hearing we should have had? Is this something that should have been explained to us? Is this a volunteer position? Is this a paid position? What does this entail? Is Sustainable Westchester involved in this? Is this looking to change zoning? And what impact would it have on the residents? Is this looking to make our town more urban, less country? I would like to know why it's on communications and not on anything else. And is this something we should have been told about before it got to the agenda, or are we voting on this? Are there other volunteers? I know Mr. Latimer was pushing this, and I don't know its intent. And I think that this should be explained to us. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Simone. That's it.
Okay, thanks, Janet. All right, so communications. So I'll go ahead and jump to the first item that someone just asked about. So we're part of the Westchester Urban County Consortium, and in order to be part of that and to be able to apply for community development block
Maybe
grants,
say what it is.
I'm doing that.
You're going to what, apply for something, but what is the Westchester Urban County Consortium?
So
Yeah, okay.
So the Westchester Urban Consortium, we're working on a grant, and this is to help our senior community. There's a grant called the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG. And in order to be able to apply for that grant, you have to have a representative within the Westchester Urban County Consortium. And that representative is part of this Community Development Advisory Group. Actually, Andrea used to be our CDAG representative when she first came on the board, because there was an interest. We were exploring how can we potentially pursue this community development block grant. It turns out you can't have an elected official or a town employee. So we were working on this application, and my chief of staff, Kerry Wolf, is taking the lead on it for a town shuttle bus for the seniors, a replacement to the existing shuttle. So in order to apply for that grant, we needed to assign a CDAG, or Community Development Advisory Group representative. And that person is Dottie Podolak, who's part of the seniors group. And we thought that she would be the right person, since she was working with Kerry on the grant, to be the representative. So we went ahead and gave her name to the county. And so thank you very much, Dottie. But that's the explanation as to what this is.
So you called it a shuttle bus. It's just a bus for use of the seniors and activities. It's not like going from A to B. It could be going.
What's for shuttling the seniors?
It's a bus to go wherever they go.
Correct.
Shopping trips, Broadway. It's not like, okay, you know.
You mean
It's a
they're
shuttle.
not
Thank you.
picking them up in Golden's Bridge and bringing them to Cross River on a regular scheduled basis, aside from activities that are planned by the seniors? That what you mean? It's not like public
That's
transportation.
precisely what it means.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, so that's the first item, communications. The next item actually this was from Mary and Andrew's involved with Thrive as well. Just a reminder that they have 2 open seats for Lewisboro residents. Thrive is a former Drug Abuse Prevention Council. And that's what that is.
We would really love, ideally, to have an active parent, someone who has children in the school district, be involved in this particular organization. The programs are primarily presented for the benefit of middle school and high schoolers, as well as the families. And they are very valuable programs. And we've been lucky enough, due to some advocacy on the part of this board and Mary Shaw and myself, to get the programs, more programs to occur in Lewisboro, as opposed to the 2 other towns that participate, who have larger populations than we do. So we would really love to have someone involved in the school district, a parent, or someone perhaps that's had children at least go through the school district at this point, to help with the programming, to be our representative.
And you don't need any special training in order to be part of it, right?
No, you don't need any special training, just an interest, and they're always looking for people with special skills. Dealing with social media, dealing with research, dealing with those types of things, promoting the programs, things of that nature. So if you have a particular skill set that you think will come in handy, I'm sure that they would love to hear about it.
Thanks, Andrew. And just getting back to the Community Development Advisory Group. We do have, under new business, there is a resolution to endorse the submission of an application for that senior van. But I just want to read something else. This is from Westchester County Planning regarding the representative, Dottie Podolak, and what she will be doing as part of this, being part of this group. It says that she'll have the opportunity to participate in planning efforts that will outline the investment of federal dollars in your neighborhood and communities throughout the Westchester Urban County Consortium. So this is the first time the town of Lewisboro is actually applying for this type of grant. So hopefully we'll come up with some other ideas. And these grants are used for seniors and, you know, if lower income segments of the population. So there could be other opportunities in the future with this grant. So looking forward to working on this.
If I could add, there are very strict categories under which communities can apply for these grants. Many of those categories, for one reason or another, unfortunately, do not apply to the town of Lewisboro. However, the provision under which monies can be applied for with regard to seniors is one of the subtopics that we can apply for grants under. So to that and the fact that our seniors are throughout the town, and it's obviously very difficult for them to travel and attend events and be as active as they would like to be, we want to try to take advantage of that opportunity.
So Dottie's role is essentially as liaison for this particular grant, referable to the bus, right? And that's the scope of it.
No, she's actually part of this Westchester Urban Consortium representing.
She's
Lewisboro.
now going to be the representative, because we cannot have an elected official or town employee be that representative. And because she's an active member of the seniors, I think Tony felt that she would be an appropriate candidate to advocate in that role.
Correct. And it's volunteer. That's correct. So thank you, Dottie. Okay. I have one other piece of communication, also related to grants. This is from the New York State Department of Transportation. So we were awarded last year it's called the Bridge New York grant for the Oskalita Culvert. It's a $1.4 million grant. This year we applied a second time for the Elmwood Road culvert. Unfortunately, our application was denied. They felt it wasn't an urgent need. We're actually gonna have a call with DOT. I think it's next week to get more feedback as to why we didn't qualify.
So that's the stream by like 170 comes out over there, right? They didn't.
That's Elmwood Road. It
Yeah,
crosses.
right,
Elmwood
yeah,
Road.
yeah.
Mhm. Right.
And the planning board were there.
So, okay, that's all I have for communication.
Could I just, Dottie, I don't mean to put you on the spot, But if you could maybe go up to the mic and just introduce yourself so that the people who are watching from home will know who you are. Feel free to share whatever information you would like about yourself.
My name's Dottie Podolak, and I'm happy to be part of the senior group, which, you know, I just retired recently, and so I've had the time to meet new friends, and get involved in the group. And this opportunity came up. I have a little bit of a background in grants in my professional positions that I've held. And so I just had met with Pam and in talking with Tony and just said, you know, anything I can do to help, I'm happy to help. And so this opportunity came up kind of quickly. And I just want to say it was a great experience working with Tony, Pam, Nicole, Carrie to really move this along really quickly and meet the needs of the seniors. It's an important group. Everybody's going to be a senior eventually. And so I think, you know, having the town involved in, you know, making it a priority in whatever way we can is important to me. And so that's why I'm getting involved, and I'm happy to join the group. And, you know, I'll learn, maybe Andrea, we can talk and I can learn a little bit more from you about your experience and what to expect. And then hopefully see what opportunities are there in the future.
Was there anything you were reading something
Thank
from the
you.
Westchester Urban County Consortium? Was there anything in the packet? I didn't see anything.
No, it wasn't. No. It was just a little blurb that I printed out today.
So does Daddy have a term for this with the county consortium?
I think I'm not sure, but I think they renew it every year. Yeah,
So each municipality has one representative. Do they have meetings at all? Or
they do.
on a regular
Every
basis?
couple of months, there's a Zoom call. Yes, every 3 months, maybe.
Okay, so then.
And usually in the CDBG grant, the way it works is it's every 3 years. So you become more actively involved, I guess, when it comes time for the application.
And Dottie, if other potential grants come up that don't necessarily apply to seniors, Dottie will also be involved with those as well in this particular position on behalf of the town. Is that correct?
If there are other grant opportunities through the Westchester Urban Consortium.
And how's that, just want to make sure how that process is. Like, so Daddy report, just give us a blurb after meetings or?
She'll be on their email list, the Westchester Urban County Consortium, and she'll be called to meetings. And yeah, represent Lewisboro there.
And then, so we're gonna have that's great. So we're gonna have a process as far as they have to participate periodically.
If there's any updates, sure, yeah, you can give us an update.
Would you mind emailing us after your meetings just to let us know if anything interesting occurred?
Great,
Thank you.
perfect, thank you.
Excellent, all right. Next we have the consent agenda, which includes the approval of the July 22nd minutes and the building department and police department monthly reports. I'd like to motion that we approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second? Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, old business. We have a resolution amending the funding sources for the electric John Deere Gator.
We're just changing the line in the budget for which it's coming, is that right?
Yeah, so originally we had the resolution indicated that the $16,000, it was a not to exceed 16,000, which is funded from with grant money, which is the NYSERDA money, right, Dan?
Yes.
You worked on?
Yep.
And also auction money. The auction money from selling from Parks and Rec and Nicole selling some items did not cover the full amount. So rather than count on that, we're gonna just modify or amend the resolution to include general funds.
Of how much?
It's still not to exceed 16,000. So instead of having auction money, or in addition to the auction money, we can include general fund.
This is for
Because NYSERDA is not gonna
It's all-
cover the full amount.
We're short. NYSERDA covers $10,000.
Okay,
The total cost is 15,778. We're short about $3,000, 3,118.
thank you. That's where I
That's-
wanted to get
So
to.
we hadn't identified where that was coming from, so we're just
Okay, got it.
kind of completing the
Right.
resolution,
Understood.
so. Okay, so
So Greg, just to check with you on this, so this is an amendment to the resolution of July 22nd, so we have to word it as such, right?
You're amending the resolution to provide for the funding sources that you described.
Right, okay.
So moved.
Do I have a second? I'll second. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Let's see here. New business, we're going down to letter E. So this is just continuing on the conversation regarding the community development block grant. This is a resolution endorsing a submission for $102,009 to cover the purchase of a new senior van.
Endorsing this submission.
Of the application.
Of the application, right?
I'll move.
Second? I'll second. Discussion?
Yeah, let me just jump in here for a second. I had a conversation with Chris in the audience a week or so ago. And Chris Olin, who came to the podium a little while ago, and he was poking around as to whether there was a chance to go electric with the senior bus. Did I get that right, Chris? Yeah. And so I'm just curious, it sounds like this is there's a deadline here and it's gonna be difficult to make any changes. I assume with the specific number, this is exactly what this bus costs. So just to clarify, is there any opportunity to yet explore that possibility or not? Or we're too far down this road?
Yeah, I think we're too far down, and I'll check with Carrie, the deadline. I know it's been extended, but it's September.
We need the minutes from tonight's meeting.
Ah, that's right.
It can't be discussed.
Right, okay.
Was a copy?
Do you need the entire minutes or of this portion?
Was a copy of this?
And when is that?
It's due.
Okay.
I didn't see a copy.
They need the minutes and a copy of the resolution, right?
The application, a copy of that wasn't in the packet either.
No,
It's not done yet.
it's not done. Carrie sent out an email about this, but yeah.
All right, so we're endorsing an application which hasn't been completed yet.
We're just asking that you endorse that we put together an application so that we can apply for this grant. You're not purchasing a vehicle yet. The application is not complete. I'm happy to share that with the board once it's done. We're still finalizing some of the funding piece because this is a grant that gets matched in kind.
No, I get it. I was just a little confused procedurally why I'm fine
It's
doing
part of the
the.
application criteria that we
Right.
need to have the resolution from tonight. It's showing the community involvement, right? We have our wonderful seniors have been involved here and at luncheons over the last 2 weeks.
Where we do a resolution before we actually submit.
So we never, with grant applications, we always get an approval for the application. We never review the application until we get to the grant agreement. At that point, that's when the board gets a chance to review the agreement and sign off on it.
Unfortunately, when it comes to grants, they always do the cart before the horse, which is what we've been debating ever since
Yeah.
all of us got elected to be here. We don't understand, why it seems backwards. It is backwards. And that's why, all the way down to you need to spend the money before they reimburse you for the money. So it's like, it's always that wonderful thing. So at this point, they need a copy of the minutes to tick a box on the application that all those precursors, all those things are done before the application goes in.
So it's it's in the menu, you have to put in a resolution.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about the match requirement here?
So the way the grant works is we get matched either by, if Lewisboro contributed money towards the grant, they would match 50-50, but we can also show in-kind contributions. So that can be things like planning of some of the programs, the bus drivers, the maintenance of the vehicle, the gas, like all of those sort of things. So we're still working on all of the funding, but
So, yeah, sometimes in some of these things, they're looking for 5 years operating.
3
costs or
years in this
something like
case, yeah,
that.
3 years.
Okay, 3 years.
So if members of the community wanted to contribute to this particular cause, they can do so of their own.
I would presume so, yeah.
And then that would be
Mhm.
added into the amount that they would
Mhm.
match.
Should we repeat that? Members of the community who want to donate?
That was not an advertisement, that was a question.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
And that match, percentage wise, it's 50-50 though?
Right, but again, our match doesn't have to be that we're spending, if this bus
No, I
is $110,000, Lewisboro, I'm not proposing that Lewisboro.
These are expenses that we have anyway.
Right, our in-kind.
It's just like-
So the
Okay, got it.
so the application is just for the bus, purchase of the bus.
Right.
So it's not for insurance, it's not for maintenance, it's not.
Well, the insurance cost can be part of our in-kind contribution. We have those as part of the application, yes.
Good, okay, that was discussion, I think.
Yep. Okay.
We can do all in favor.
All in favor?
Is this a roll call? Because
No.
it's-
No, you can only
No,
do this.
Aye.
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 All right. Next, we have resolution approving the rental of Vista Town Park for the Vista Hamlet Stewardship Council fundraiser on September 7, 2024, and waiving of the fees.
So moved.
Okay.
Discussion?
This is the hoedown,
Yes.
that's the important part, okay.
Yeah, and it's a fundraiser for the shared path that the Vista Hamlet Stewardship Council would like to pursue in the future on Route 123.
You're gonna be doing some square dance bowling.
This has been in the works for well over a year, this idea came up,
Yes.
so.
Mhm. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next we have getting back to our seniors. The resolution, so what we've been working on, and thanks to Pam and some of the folks in the senior community, we've been working with Stevens Memorial Methodist Church. They have space which they'll allow the seniors to use it as a meeting place rather than their current meeting location. And so in front of us, we have the agreements, part of the agenda packet. And basically it's a fee of $100 per meeting.
But they'd also be given a space to keep things correct, almost, it'd be a dedicated
Storage.
space to the seniors. So you say $100 per day,
Per meeting.
just per meeting,
Per
but if that's all inclusive of the space that they allow them to use, the keeping of whatever it is they feel they need to keep there.
I believe so, but I'll have Nicole or
Yes.
Pam answer that.
Excellent.
There was an edit to the agreement that's in the agenda packet. Instead of saying $100 per week, it's $100 per meeting to be paid monthly.
And how many times a month do the seniors meet? Once a week, right?
Wednesday. So there's a total for this year, there's a total of 14 meetings planned. And they won't charge us for meetings that are canceled.
So how come we're only doing this through end of the year? Any reason? We're just trying it out, like, see how it works for the first 4 months?
They'll give us a contract, annual contract, we believe, so this is up to the end of time.
Let's see, they call it $100 a week.
Yeah, like I said,
Forgive me, okay.
we edited it. Yeah, we changed it from since the agenda packet went out.
So 2 questions. 1, what's the funding source? And 2, is this something that's going to be incorporated into the upcoming Parks and Recs budget under the senior slide for next year?
I'll let
Welcome, Nicole.
Okay, so going back, Rich, yes, I edited underneath the dates to change the cost to $100 per meeting. And then added to be paid monthly and will not be responsible to pay fees for those meetings that are canceled. So that is not in the one that you have because I edited it after the agenda went out. You will get a new copy. So currently Pam has $630 available in trip bus rentals for the remainder of the year. So we have allocated all of those funds for the remainder of the year. We've got the 630 left, which I would like to apply to this. We're looking at a total cost of $1,400. I was going to ask if the town board would be so generous to take from the general fund for the balance of $770 for the seniors.
The general fund, I guess we're talking about the reserve.
Correct.
Fund balance, yeah.
fund balance.
So there's an opportunity for the seniors to store things on site?
Yes.
That they're secured somewhere in the room or what is it?
Yes. So they have use of the large room, right, a classroom, the kitchen. Both floors, right? So
So
we can bring in our own cabinets, store items there. Anything that we would like.
so it's-
Is this in lieu of the South Salem Fire Department or in addition?
I'll let Nicole answer that.
So I think ideally this would be in lieu of.
So then this South Salem Fire Department is aware that this is a transition between. And because the only thing I would just say is because it's a great idea, but it's also at an area on the far end of Lewisboro. Like the Vista side, what happens to the people all the way on the other side? And not to say South Salem Fire Department is centrally located, but it's a little more centrally than the church.
Well, for those individuals that do not drive can receive the shuttle transportation. As Doreen does already.
It's just it's a longer drive for the ones who are further away. Right. So,
You do that now.
but when the area is in the center, it's just like why when we have kids that we send to school, we have schools all over, we don't take kids from Petona and send them to Meadow Pond.
Yeah.
You know, and for seniors, they say minutes seem like hours sometimes on the bus. Well, I said, I understand it. It's nice, and I believe it's super nice to have a place that they can call their own, but it's still, we're dealing with rental and it's still not a structure that can be called their own. So,
I think the only issue with the fire department is that we're slowly losing the space and we don't have the storage, and the seniors want to have the storage. From week to week.
Yeah, why don't you go up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm Pam Veith. I'm the director of the Lewisboro Seniors, and I also do senior programs for the town of Lewisboro. So I actually started as the director in 2009. I took over for Virginia Cruci. And I came across a letter from 2000 about the town planning to have a senior center. In 1997, South Salem Fire Commissioners were kind enough to say to the Lewisboro seniors, you can meet at our firehouse temporarily. So here we are 27 years later, we're still at the firehouse. They've been very hospitable, but we now have just the use of the large room, and we do have use of the kitchen, and then we have a hallway that's where we hold our book group. That's where we hold our smaller group meetings in a hallway. So when we first talked to Tony about a space, we did look at some, I'm sure people will say, well, what about Lewisboro Elementary School? We did look at a room there. However, that was only one room and it was across from the assessor's office. It was not a good place to have a group that we play music sometimes. We can be loud, we can be boisterous, and we have a lot of fun. So that really was not, didn't seem appropriate. And that coincidentally, at the same time, Bill Fole from Stevens Memorial and Jesse Lee in Ridgefield, wonderful minister, said, you know, I'd like to speak to Tony. I'd like to speak to, he spoke to me. He spoke to our group about what are the needs of the Lewisboro seniors, because I am the minister at Stevens Memorial, but we're no longer holding worship in our space. We'd love to have it used. So we have, as stated, we do have half of a room downstairs for storage. We have use of a room downstairs for a book discussion. It's a very comfortable, there's nice furniture. They put in a ramp as of early July. There's a ramp now, a handicapped ramp on the back or the side, I guess, of the church. So I think it's a step. I'm sorry that our new president, Gail, who lives on Flintlock off of Todd Road, is not here tonight, because she'd say, it's okay. It's only 8-10 more minutes. I mean, it isn't centrally located. I definitely, I agree with that. It would be nice to have something centrally located, but there's really nothing right now. So this is really sort of, we're hoping a good step in the direction of
Is this the white church or the church that was on the cover of the
No.
Rock House?
Not Blue Oyster Cult.
It's what?
Not Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh, it's not that, it's not that.
It's the one on Shady Lane
Oh, the
and
white church.
123.
Right on the corner.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there
Yeah.
will be more cowbell though.
Yeah, so
I got that. Yeah.
any other
Um,
questions?
So right now, we're just doing it through the end of the year, and then the proposal is that we're gonna add this additional cost into the budget for next year. And that cost, whether we remain at St. Stephen's or we find some other location centrally located, or miraculously we get a senior center or
Yeah.
whatever, that cost will go there.
Right.
So I'm okay with it, and I volunteer to contribute $350 to the 700 to get us to the end of the year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. And in 3 years with the next CDBG grant,
Right.
maybe
We'll
we'll
see.
build something. Okay.
Do we have to vote?
Oh, yeah. I think we have to do all that. All right, so motion to authorize supervisor to sign the agreement with Stevens Memorial Methodist United Church for the Lewisboro seniors. So
So moved.
Second.
discussion. All in favor? Aye. Okay,
Do
next.
we have to, does it finish by, I think she's asked for a funding source for the balance of 300. So,
Gonna be, 470.
Do we have to be specific? Because I don't, specific in terms of a number and.
No, I mean, as long as the funding is there somewhere, you can do it with your budget revisions in any event.
Yeah.
As long as you're authorizing the act.
Yeah. Because I don't want to get to a situation where we're being specific and then we have to amend it.
More
if
amendments.
Something happens.
it's 770, not 750. I thought you said 750.
So, okay, you're funding 350 of it?
I'll do 370. We'll just make it even.
You're funding 370, yes, and the 400 is coming from your balance, or what is it coming from?
This is.
It's coming from the general fund.
Put me down for 2.
Going once, going twice.
So. Oh, okay, yeah, so we'll push that one out. Yep. Okay. I think we said, oh, we're in favor, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I.
Okay, so I'm gonna skip item H for now. It's John Winter, our highway superintendent, stuck in the paving traffic.
It's kind of a,
Which, by the way, the first portion of that paving up 35, amazing.
It is,
What
yeah,
a difference.
oh, yeah. About time, yeah.
there was some stuff on social media, just maybe clarification with some stuff going as far as everything's on board as far as with the confirmed project, right, all the way through to Mountain, right?
Close to, not all the way, but close to, yeah,
Just past the town hall.
correct. Yeah. And it's amazing the way they do it. They mill the old, come right behind it and pave, and then they stripe it. So it's pretty cool. There is a section, just so everyone is aware, by the Meadows in Cross River, which they're skipping for now, because the road there needs more engineering work, because it actually gave, so it's pitched
Right.
towards the Meadows.
Needs to be.
So
built
they're gonna
back
have
up,
to
essentially.
rebuild that road. So they're gonna come back after they rebuild it and then pave it. So they're gonna, exactly, yeah. Okay, so next we have, this was a correction of, let me just find that page here. This came from our assessor, Lise Robertson, and she provided us with paperwork for a resident who applied for an alternative veterans exemption with a 30% veterans disability in 2019.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the exemption was only processed as a wartime veterans exemption. So we owe this individual $660.40. And that includes,
So moved.
okay. Discussion, do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion, or Janice, I let's wait for Janice, so she can record it. That's okay. Yeah, that's good.
Motion by Andrea, second by Dan. On the exemption.
I'll let you keep.
What is this one?
On,
Aye.
aye.
The resolution approving correction of error and authorizing corresponding refund.
Yep, okay, and
Okay.
Andrea.
Dan, second.
And then all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next is we have an MOU, which is a memorandum of understanding with the Teamsters Union. And this was to
Re-updating the titles.
correct the titles and the pay
Into the right.
scales.
Got it.
And just the brief high level explanation, this gives us the ability to hire folks who are starting out at a lower pay rate and a lower step, rather than jumping right to the higher step, which is what we had in the agreement.
Like the flag.
Well, this is specific to the maintenance mechanic. And we had one who just retired. So we're gonna have to fill in his position.
So it's a step that already existed, but it was a restriction on being able to use that level.
No, it was,
No.
it was a higher, it wasn't a step, it was actually I don't think it was any step, it was actually a rate, and then we decided to put in the steps.
Ah.
So that we can start out people at a lower tier and then work them up to.
Okay, so it's in the MOU is explicitly putting a provision where we can hire somebody at more introductory.
Right.
lower
Yes.
rate,
Mhm, mhm.
and then
That's
proceed
exactly right.
forward.
More incentive to climb the ladder. Just that,
Right. So I'd like to go ahead and motion to approve the Teamsters memorandum of understanding, adding the new titles and pay scales and authorizing supervisor to sign. Do I have a second?
second,
Discussion. Roll call.
Yes.
Aye, Rich, aye, Tony, aye.
Andrea, aye.
Dan,
Okay. All right, we're gonna go back. Our highway superintendent just walked in. John, you wanna come up to the mic? So we have so I'll let you explain, but at a high level,
Well, why don't you just tell which
You're-
item we're on, because we're jumping all around, so.
it's the item before the one we just said, H.
Which is potential resolution approving the transfer of 31,000 from highway fund balance to highway equipment line for the purchase of the trailer for that lovely piece of equipment that John contributed to the grant in order for our town to have. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you. So, got a little stuck in the 35 paving traffic. I'll take a second while I'm here. I got nothing to do with it. Absolutely
Can I
nothing to
just
do
ask you a
with me.
quick question? Are they paving east of 121, the light?
So I came
Really?
through Cross River, they were milling like in front of Shell.
Okay, so
And
they
they
are.
have
yeah.
like the work lights set up all the way to the town park,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, good.
I don't know how far they plan to get, but again, absolutely nothing to do with me. State road. If the road is a number, I got nothing to do with it. All right, so yeah, thank you to Senator Harcum. We're getting an excavator. It's $150,000 piece of equipment, on state contract, 24% off. Comes to around 120 with a hydraulic thumb and 2 buckets. Weighs around 20,000 pounds and we don't have any trailers that could move it. So, I wanted a felling trailer on a state contract. They're a year out and they're almost $40,000. So I tried going contract wise, state contract, county contract. Just nothing was available. So I've been the trailer man for like 2 weeks now, talking to vendors from Buffalo to Connecticut to wherever. I found a trailer in Pennsylvania. It's a Cam Superliner. It's got air ramps, which will be nice because I wasn't going to spoil my guys as much as I like them and appreciate them. It was like a $6,000-7,000 option, but I found one that's a 2-year-old trailer. So it's a severe discount. It's only 31 grand. So we're getting the top of the line trailer for $6 grand less. And being that it's under 35 grand, I don't have to go out to bid, and I have more than 3 quotes. I probably have 6 or 7 quotes.
And just so everybody understands, The money is in the highway budget. It just needs to be.
It's not in
used-
my
in the
budget, it's in the
In
general
the
fund.
general
I need it transferred to my budget. Which I'm glad you brought up because my equipment line starting January 1st had $0 in it. I need money to buy equipment to do things. So when I'm next standing here, I will be advocating for money in my equipment line among some other lines. So I need the money to purchase the equipment because the equipment line started the year at
So it's
zero.
coming from the town general fund.
No,
No, highway.
my highway
It's highway
general
fund.
fund.
Not budget. though.
Right, but-
It's the
Right.
highway fund.
yes,
Yes, not the general fund, my highway fund.
I got it.
Reserves.
Yeah, highway.
Council
reserve.
has something,
Reserves.
well,
It's the threshold's 20,000 for sale, it's not 35. So you have to get it off state bid list or some piggyback. 31,000 is not the threshold for a purchase of goods. 20,000 is that requires bidding.
I could have swore it was 35. Well, then I'll ask because we've discussed this in the past. I would love to update our procurement policy that's beyond antiquated.
That's New York state law. That's general municipal.
Well, you said you could set the procurement policy
for the lower,
aside.
for the lower.
But I can't set aside the general municipal law. If it's $20,000 sale of goods, you have to bid it, state bid list, piggyback, emergency, or sole source. Those are your only ways. 35,000 is the public works project where it's goods and services together. If you're building something or if you're constructing something.
So this
No.
trailer is effectively one piece, there's not like a $20,000 part, $11,000.
No, it's one piece.
Huh. So, but if it's available on state bid or through any
The
other
company on
piggyback,
state bids a year out and $7,000 more.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the procurement policy.
So
It
can
says
we
all,
do sole source?
is that the only vendor?
That's the only one.
It has
I've
nothing to do with
run
time,
between Buffalo and Connecticut,
but it has
on
nothing
the
to do with
ground.
time.
Nothing to do with time, so we'll have $150,000 piece of equipment that we can't
Can't move
use.
it.
But if it's
For over a
the
year.
used, the piece of used
But he's
equipment, that,
not buying it from another municipality.
Can we break down the payments that, like 20,000
No,
this year?
It doesn't work that way.
Exactly.
well, so let me ask you, Greg, the procurement policy says that's
Procurement policy
equipment which
is relevant.
exceeds $20,000.
Procurement policy relevant. That's for things, for sales of goods under 20, and public works projects under 35. The New York State General Municipal Law dictates on the purchase of goods.
So, but let
Locally, you
me,
can't
hold on a second.
Override it.
Let me just read what it says. It says all purchases of supplies or equipment which will exceed $20,000 in the fiscal year, or public works contracts over 35,000 shall be formally bid pursuant to GML.
Right, but what Greg is
So-
saying that our procurement policy is our local procurement policy, but it can't override general municipal law.
But this says pursuant to the general municipal law.
Right,
It
it's a
says-
$31,000 trailer.
Right, so because it exceeds 20,000, he's got to go out to bid
That's what I'm saying. Or he's
Right.
gotta go to
or go to a
Piggyback.
state contract.
state contract.
Yeah.
He can do a secondhand purchase from another municipality.
so
Also, but this is from a private, this is from a private vendor.
how quickly can we
So-
issue bids? And if you just, design the bid, to focus on this.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
because I would go out to bid and it's the only one around, so obviously that's gonna be the only one.
And you can restrict the bid reasonably within the geography. Okay, for purposes of future service or whatnot, if you need to. You can't limit it to Westchester County, but you could probably do like a 50 or 75 mile radius.
Mhm.
How
And
far is
inspect the
this?
trailer.
It's farther than that, but that's why I'm going that far, because everything else
You
is
can always go farther.
months out,
Well, how does it get,
to years
This is
out.
Pennsylvania.
So
how
you
does it
put
get
those-
here? Once we-
We can pick it up.
So you put delivery as one of your requirements as well,
It's not a big deal, it's just go out. and-
No, I mean the time, in other words, so we need this.
Oh, well, yeah, that's what I
Within,
originally wanted
within
to
a
do.
month or something, the other,
The vendors on state contract, and it was 61 days to get it, so that's over a year. And they're made in Minnesota, so $4,000 of that was just shipping.
Right.
But you didn't have, I thought you had multiple quotes on this. Oh, it's not a
I do.
formal bid, but
I-
it wasn't a formal
I
bid. That's
thought-
the issue.
I thought I had, as long as it was below 35, I just had to get 3 quotes, that's why I
Yeah.
had 7 or 8 quotes.
How many days does the solicitation have to be out? Is there any?
No.
There's.
Well, let me ask this,
Put it out for
as
7
long
days.
as I follow the procurement policy, can we still approve the transfer of funds? Let's not get too sidetracked.
Transfer,
It could be.
transfer of funds, you can do however you want, because when you award the bid, you gotta have it funded anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you decide that this is your vendor, or somebody else is the vendor, you're awarding that contract to them to deliver the goods, you'll have to have the money encumbered or available to purchase, so you can do the transfer.
We can transfer predicated upon compliance with the GML provision.
You transfer it into his line, okay? On your own right now, and then it can write specs.
And then it's there, so when he
Yeah,
gets the
okay.
bid responses, he can.
You still have to award it to whatever the vendor is, but funding is always, the first part of it. If you
Right.
can't award a bid, anything that's not funded.
Okay.
So,
So motion to transfer to 31,000, subject to compliance with GML section 103.
From the highway, surplus.
Yes, as amended.
Second.
Discussion? All
Roll
in
call?
favor?
We don't do a roll call because we're not.
It's a transfer.
spending. Yeah. Aye.
Now, when he does receive the, when he does receive the, or he's ready to award, he needs to get town board approval before he. awards.
even though the money belongs to the
Mhm.
highway,
Right,
that he'd still have to come back here to award the purchase.
right.
But he's gonna
Okay.
make the recommendation based on,
Bid,
yeah, whatever vendor is the low responsible bidder that can
Right.
deliver that specified unit. Right, I'm very specific. Trailer that he's looking for.
So the purchase
Okay.
approval is the trigger for spending the encumbered money, basically.
Say that, the first part again, I missed it.
The. I forget what I'm.
The purchase approval.
Yeah,
Purchase
approving the purchase is the trigger for
He's got
spending the encumbered.
money
Yeah.
in his budget
Yeah.
now for many
Yeah.
things, but some things he's got to come to the town board to get approval for, or he has to go out to bid for, depending on the circumstances. right?
So right now, the money's getting moved from the general fund balance for the highway over to the equipment line, which has zero balance. So at the time that we award the bid, the money is already there.
yes, hopefully.
Right. Okay, so we don't really need a roll call. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right,
Then you can.
thank you.
Okay, next we have, it's a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign the agreement for $50,000 NYSERDA grant. So here's an example where the grant agreement is part of the agenda packet. For the purchase of, this is for the electric vehicle, electric commercial riding lawnmower. The vehicle is for the building department. So Chevy Blazer, I believe.
Equinox.
Equinox, okay.
It's for both though. This resolution is for the electric vehicle and a mower.
Correct,
Okay.
right.
And the resolution is for the.
Grant disbursement
loan
agreement. Yeah, the grant disbursement agreement that the supervisor needs
Or
to
the
sign.
grant disbursement, sorry.
What's the?
Same.
It says Dan, the project director. What is that? On the
It
agreement?
means somebody had, the name had to go in on the form. And so I put my name in there.
Okay, so let's go ahead and a motion. Oh, I can't.
You can't.
Someone's got a motion.
I move that we authorize the supervisor to sign the loan disbursement agreement for NYSERDA for the $50,000 grant. As stated.
So
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next we have resolution approving the renewal of the AAA carting and rubbish removal license to collect and dispose of refuse and recyclables in the town of Lewisboro.
so moved.
Discussion? Second discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Is there a first and a second?
Your first use. Next is a resolution approving the renewal of the cabaret license for Walkabout Country Club.
So moved.
Second. 1 second.
So
Discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Right.
Okay, next is a resolution authorizing a payment of $6,881.78 to the East of Hudson Watershed Corporation to prepare the stormwater retrofit agreement. So let me give a little, I emailed everybody the explanation, but Here it is. It's related to the new DEC MS4, which is multiple municipalities, stormwater.
Municipal separate storm sewer systems.
Municipal separate stormwater sewer systems. Yes, thank you.
Isn't that the thing we approved recently as far as accepting the document that was prepared for the?
You do semi-annual reports, annual
Yeah.
reports, but this is your
Yeah, this.
proportionate share of the retrofit based on your allocation of kilograms of phosphorus reduction. There's a schedule at the end of it. Shows
Right.
all the towns in the east of Hudson.
Mhm. So they sent us a letter basically explaining this, and Lewisboro has a phosphorus reduction requirement of 35.5 kilograms. So each municipality, there are 19 municipalities, have a contribution.
So who calculates this ratio or whatever the number is?
There's a formula that's used by the East of Hudson Watershed Corporation. And there's a spreadsheet, it's based on the amount of phosphorus that we are responsible
Contributing
for,
to,
or eliminating.
Yeah.
Not contributing,
So the
eliminating.
Watershed Corporation
Yeah.
does the calculation.
And they do the works. So they engineer the work. And to give you an idea, let's see here. So they've done multiple projects around town. So between the 19 MS4s, $50 million has been spent, close to 50 million. Some of the projects in Lewisboro, there's been a bunch of them. There's been projects over at middle and the high school, the town park, Lake Kitchewan Stream, Truesdale Lake Drive, Schoolhouse Road, and these are projects where they retrofit storm drains. In some cases, they put in inserts that filter out the phosphorus. So the phosphorus doesn't reach the water bodies. And they're currently doing a project at Lake Katona. It's about $450,000 project. Another one at Wacabuck Country Club, which is about $235,000. So yeah, so they engineer, they do all the engineering for us, and they work in conjunction with our highway department, whenever it involves.
Is
roads.
it accurate to say that we're at the sort of the planning stage here for the
Yeah, so
period?
this is they call it the 11 to 15-year work plan. So we've covered 10 years, and the DEC funds all this work with the DEP.
Right, in other words,
Actually.
after the plan is done, then that's taken to the state and
Right,
saying, give
the
us money
DEC.
for that plan, I assume.
Well, they're trying to get, so so they're trying to get money. So right now, the money from New York City DEP cannot be used for planning. It can only be used for the projects. So they need to replenish the
Yeah,
account.
so
that
that's
pays
what
for
I'm
the
kind of
planning.
getting at, right? We're making an upfront investment,
Correct.
create the plan so that the state can then give us money
Right.
against the concrete projects, and this whole program is here because if it wasn't for this, then all of that cost would be on the individual towns.
Municipalities, correct.
Yeah, so
Right.
it's kind of, this is how you get there from.
No, I guess, so like the phosphorus reduction requirement, so that's how you get the ratio.
Right.
How is,
Mhm.
do we have any idea how, so we've established it's calculated by the Watershed Corporation, but how do they calculate that based upon the work that's done, or?
No, it's based on the amount of phosphorus, and then they,
Phosphorus and where they.
for each town, correct.
So like Putnam Valley has 1.00 and we have over 35. Does that mean that we have 35 times more phosphorus? Is that what that means?
It means because we have more area in the New York City watershed.
Yeah. And that's how many kilograms you're responsible for eliminating during that period.
Okay, so it's geographic area within the watershed. Okay, got it.
Gross area in the watershed.
So moved, okay.
Now, this is, we're approving this payment, but they need, all the 19 municipalities to agree to it as well. So
but
it's,
we're just one part.
we're one part, right?
So they all
So
have to
they
agree.
want to have our commitment by August 31st that we agree to make this payment. But if the other municipalities don't contribute their part,
So,
then it's
Then
a
it's-
moot point.
it's a moot
so like the
point,
Westchester County EMS, they each had to do it subject to everybody else.
Right,
Correct, that's correct.
Okay,
right.
so
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and I have one add-on, which I have it's from Keller Sessions
Yep.
proposal on the development of the bid spec for the full bathhouse. Here. Yeah, so basically, there's a proposal, it's got two components. One is $12,400 for the bid documents. And it's outlined in the proposal what that entails. So they basically put together the bid specs, then they manage the bidding phase. They review the bid documents with the town and the project architect, revise the documents according to address any comments prior to bidding the project. Field inquiries during the bidding process, meaning from the contractors. They review all the
remind
bids.
me, did we get some consideration back in our direction from the architects in that they were originally supposed to do this and then proved not to be up to the test.
Do you have an exec or not?
So,
Do you have an exec?
no, we don't, but we could.
Take about 5 minutes for this
Okay.
particular.
Okay.
item.
All right, so we'll.
Advice of
And I hate to say ask,
Advice.
but I think maybe we'll just take 5 minutes to talk about
Yeah,
that aspect.
okay.
Okay.
We can do that, yeah.
All right, so we'll table it.
No, you can, I think I was really going to address Councilman Welch's inquiry. I think with respect to
Okay,
proposal,
that
if you
won't
want to move
change,
forward with it, you kind of need
that
to
won't change the fact that we need to
move
get this
forward with that,
agreement
I
going,
think,
so
to get
that's
the
fine.
bid
We can
documents.
do it. Yeah,
Right.
let's do that then.
And yeah, so we're trying to, get this, ideally get the bid specs drafted sooner than later. So we could hopefully stay on track with the project. And getting the,
Right, because
That's-
we want to have this done for next season, so.
right, so it's, and it mentioned before, so it's got to be modified. So there's some time of the essence provision. It's got to be completed on or before August 30. So we'll have that move forward the next step by September 9th meeting.
So should I go ahead and move that we authorize the supervisor to sign the agreement with Keller and Sessions for the work to prepare the bid documents and
As proposed.
construction fee phase as proposed?
Well, conditioned upon its completion by August 30.
Right, is that not in?
It's
No,
not in
it's
here.
not in here,
There's
no.
no time of the
okay.
essence provision at all.
As amended?
So I'm assuming they'll get back to us by August 30th, but then if they don't,
Well, it's not getting back to us. It's a matter of
I mean,
finishing
we're-
up the agreement by August 30th. Complying with it. And my understanding secondhand is that there's been people that have reached out that they can.
I reached out to
effectuate
them
this.
today.
Yeah, so they can effectuate this in a
2
couple
weeks,
weeks. So it's
yeah.
2 plus. So in other words, we need a completion of the agreement on or before August 30. So
yeah.
So,
Preparation of the bid documents?
huh?
Just on the preparation of the bid documents, because there's this very small portion that goes to construction, which.
Yeah, the 4,000, which then it talks about that and it basically says all the stuff they don't do,
Right, because the architect is going to do the overwhelming construction administration, but no matter what, those services are later in the project, nothing in that task is going to be in August of this year.
So that's my position. We should approve it exclusively predicated upon their ability to complete it by August 3rd.
So does that mean that we're approving it and then we're gonna ask them to add that into this document before it's signed?
Yes, essentially putting a time of the essence provision.
In which case there are also associated clauses with failure to achieve that and on the rest of them.
Yeah, what happens if they miss that date? And now they've developed a bid spec.
Or if it's.
They don't get paid.
Well, if it could be.
That's part of it. Right, his proposal is a numerical proposal with a scope of services and tasks.
Yeah,
And there is I believe there's a timeline in there, but whatever, if you want to make it contingent upon it being done by the end of the month,
You said you believe there's a timeline?
I thought there was a
This is
time,
proposal scope date. No, that's not it. Never mind.
at least for the development of the bid specs, I thought there was.
Not that I saw, could have missed it.
Well, you're not meeting again this month, right, at this point?
No.
Nope.
So you should authorize it, and if you want it to be payment contingent upon deliverable of item task 1, August 31st, you can do it.
Item
The
task
letter-
1, meaning the bid document
Yeah,
phase.
The bid documents phase.
August 30th is a Friday, so.
Okay.
Yep.
So as amended with that additional payment term to be added to this agreement.
So,
Discussion?
Roll call.
Oh, Rich.
Aye.
Tony, aye.
Andrea Rendell, aye.
Dan Welch, aye.
All right. So that's it. Next, we have public comment number 2 for new business only. Anybody here would like to say something?
Public left.
Anybody on Zoom?
Barbara Mangione, I'm asking you to unmute.
How is that?
That's fine.
Okay, I kind of believe all 3 of these items I want to mention at some point tonight fell under new business. Number 1, I just wanted, Rich mentioned something about that there was some chatter on Facebook about the paving, which I also saw. And I just wanted to mention that if you look at any of the press releases from either Assembly Member Burdick or Senator Harkam, and or if you plug in the contract number or project number for this paving project, it will take you to a New York State Department of Transportation page where it clearly indicates that the project is supposed to go from 22 to Bounton Road. There's very specific parameters, so I don't know why it's changed. It doesn't sound like a big stretch, but any stretch on 35 that's paved is definitely an improvement and helps all our residents. The other thing with the Thrive program, I'm just suggesting that if people haven't applied for it yet, the board or the whoever takes care of that program may want to reach out to parents through the school system, through the PTAs or the PTOs of the high school, middle school, and elementary school. And you may be going into a bigger pool of people then and find somebody who wants to get involved. And lastly, as far as the item goes, thank you, Dottie, first of all, for volunteering. Any volunteer we have is certainly a gem. But the main focus of the Westchester Urban County Consortium, other than their CDBG grants, which of course we're all grateful for, is truly procuring grants for housing and community development affordable through the HUD program. In addition, they also have a program which provides funds to developers of affordable housing. So I'm not saying misleading on purpose, but it's a little misleading to say that, we're kind of putting this person in this position where she is volunteering, again, thank to her, just for this bus grant, because this is an organization that has a much broader scope of interest in our towns. And having said that, on the agenda, it does say the Town of Lewisboro Community Development Advisory Group. So if said group has been developed in order to have this position open up to be a liaison to the urban consortium, I think the town needs to set up a page on their website of this advisory group and perhaps open it up to other residents as all the other councils and committees. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Barbara. Carol Cernak, I'm asking you to mute.
Hi, Carol Cernak, South Salem, New York. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, first item is the resolution for the purchase of a senior van, electric van, I think it was proposed. Why not go hybrid instead of electric, since we don't have electric charging stations set up throughout town or throughout the East Coast? That's my first point. Secondly is the procurement policy for the highway department. I think that needs to be reviewed and updated. I think you're tying the hands of that department for their policies for selling, buying and trading equipment. This is not always a fixed situation. It's often fluid, and you need to act upon it as quickly as you can. And I think it would serve the town best, if you allow that to happen. The other thing is about the lawnmowers, the electric lawnmowers. How many hours of mowing does the town do? How many acres does the town do? And then what would be the downtime for the charging as opposed to the fossil fuels? It doesn't seem to make sense to me. So I think that needs to be looked at. And the other thing is, why are non-residents of public waterways in the town of Lewisboro expected to pay for watershed issues and lake improvements? I never have understood that. I can't go to Walkabuck, I can't go to Truesdale, yet we're expected to pay in our taxes for that. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Barbara. That's it.
Carol.
Thanks, Janet. Okay, next we have approval of claims. It's like the motion that we approve claims. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, polling of the board. I'll start with Andrew. Sorry, I'll skip you.
Happy summer, everyone. One thing that I wanted to bring up was, Greg, just quickly, sorry. You and I had spoken briefly about, adopting a policy with regard to board members who can't be present for meetings as long as there was a majority. And you talked that we never voted that provision in, and that it may have sunset and we can no longer do it, or.
And then a new one, there's a new one enacted
Okay.
for the public officers law, which is pretty similar. You do have to do it by local law. It does allow for remote attendance and participation as long as there's a quorum of the board that is in an accessible public place conducting the meeting. That doesn't necessarily mean it's all in one place, but there's a quorum that the public has access to. And then other members who are outside the quorum can participate. You do have to make a determination in the local law as to what constitutes the extraordinary circumstances where you would allow the remote participation.
But they cannot vote.
This is like, so this all started in COVID when the governor's executive order amended public officers law.
Mhm.
And then I think in 2022, there was a short, maybe 1 year window where they allowed for remote meetings. And it did have a sunset. And then early this year, I think in March, a new version of it, which to me looks almost identical, largely the same, was enacted. And that model allows for, as long as the quorum is in a public place, that the remotely attending members can participate and vote. But again, you have to make a determination as to what the extraordinary circumstances.
Extraordinary circumstances.
It shouldn't be because, somebody's in the Bahamas or whatever.
Right, it's not like vacation, but if
Okay.
one of us was homesick or,
Illness,
weather kept us, away from being able to get back. So, for instance, tonight Mary's not here, but if there was some reason why she couldn't get here other than, a vacation, she would have been able to participate in the meeting and vote. And because we have a quorum present.
But you have to do it by local law. And I
Right.
can certainly send you what a draft version that would be, and
But if you don't have the local law,
you can't do it.
you can't do it.
It's in,
Right.
yeah. And.
Well, you could, but you have to notice the remote participants
No,
location.
that's no longer on the
You
table.
have to adopt the ability by local law, which is the same as the most recent one. It was a local law. In the COVID thing,
Yeah.
it was waived
Just
because
so-
of the circumstances.
I say that because East of Hudson, I'm on their executive committee.
Mhm.
They actually just distributed, they're starting to allow folks to log into these meetings remotely. But say I want to attend the meeting from here,
Mhm.
I have to set up a laptop here in this building for someone to access the meeting.
That may be just the terms that they,
Yeah,
Voted.
I'm not, this is the Watershed Coalition.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I won't weigh in on the propriety of that. They have, is George Rodenhouse still counsel? I mean, they know.
No,
about-
it's Christine.
Okay.
Something. Yeah, I'll
But
send you the
I'll say
information, but
with-
that's.
For the
yeah.
local governments, there is that provision of 103, 103A of the public office law. I'll send it to you if you wanna initiate legislation. That doesn't have a sunset, so you can do it going forward. Based on my reading, Andrea and I spoke
Yeah.
maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago about it. And I think it's, it's a possibility if you want to consider it.
Okay. Good.
I don't have anything else.
Dan?
I think just to clarify a few things that came up, there was, someone was talking about there being a new Lewisboro advisory group under this CDBG. That's not really, that's not a group. I think that's just a misreading of that particular sentence. It's the Lewisboro representative to
Yeah,
county group.
ideally, we could have said it, town of Lewisboro's, S, community development representative.
Yeah, so it's just to be clear,
Yeah.
there's no new group there. There was a
That's,
question
yeah,
about.
that's just, that was because the communication on the agenda, it says Town of Lewisboro Community Development Advisory Group Representative, so that's what I think caused the confusion.
Yeah, so there's.
Picked up on the language.
There's no group there. There's a question about the senior bus and, that it was proposed to be electric. That was something that I threw out there asking about that's not the proposal at the current time. Although the idea of at least looking to see if there's a hybrid option sounds great to me. There's a question about the electric lawnmowers and whether they're practical. The new ones are 8 hours worth of use time, and we consulted with Joel, and he said that'll work just fine. And then they charge overnight, so it's not a big deal there. And the question about why are non-lake residents paying for lake improvements, again, that brings us back to this the whole reasoning behind this, the MS4 system. And in the beginning, when this all started, there was a threat of a huge amount of cost being dropped on all these municipalities, and they had to reduce their phosphorus into the watershed. And but now we have this program where we're developing these project options, and they're submitted, and you have to get paid from the state for those. But those projects are by definition on waterways, because that's where you have the opportunity to intercede and stop the phosphorus addition, so that's just the physical reality of that. That's where the projects are. So that's.
Rich.
Grateful to have been able to participate in the SSFD fire parade and carnival. Hopefully ended up doing okay on Saturday. Just anybody in the community can help to support them financially because it's difficult with the weather. Please consider that, or even better, join one of the local first responder agencies here if you can.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, the fire department carnival was great. The parade was great. And yeah, unfortunately they lost 2 days because of the weather. Saturday was busy. So hopefully they made up for that. The only other thing I have is I have from John Winter, our highway superintendent, the paving plan for 2024. So we'll publish this. We'll put it on the website. But basically, it's the roads that are going to be paved: Rampart Pass, Redcoat Lane, Powder Hill Road, Makepeace Hill Road, Bisbee Lane, Fountainville Road, Truesdale Lake Drive, and their distances. So they're not, depending on the road, not the complete road. There's sections of dirt roads that are also going to be paved: Silver Spring, East Street from Lockwood down to the bridge. And then we had some other projects which included a portion of Old Church Lane, Schoolhouse Road, and the Colony in Golden's Bridge. There were three. There was Hillside, Hall, Pond, Lake, and Main. But those require permits from, in the case of Old Church Lane, the DEC permit. So it's going to be pushed out to 2025. And the same thing with the Golden's Bridge roads. We also need permitting. So that will be next year.
It is,
But I'll make sure this
It's
gets
telling
posted.
me that they need that special permit in there.
Correct.
if you just check on the, in Wild Oaks, just see where, if any utilities coming in scheduled to come in, when we get that on the list as far as Wild Oaks, as far as, you know, the
Mhm.
repaving list.
Yeah, actually, I reached out to Liberty Utilities, the water company.
Yeah.
So I'll wait for them to wait to hear back from them, not only Wild Oaks, but Arbor Hill, Indian Hill. And just make sure they're not going to be ripping up the roads, because we got to start planning for some of the paving, some paving in those parts of town.
Yes, great. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so that's all I have. Next announcements, our next town board meeting will be Monday, September 9th. So there's no other meeting in August. As of right now, unless there's a special need for meeting, but next meeting will be September 9th, 7:30 PM here at the townhouse. And I'd like to motion to go into executive session to discuss it's a attorney-client privilege.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everyone here.